9, I was first homeless. My first time. I was homeless in Boston. I went to Woods Mullen, which was a intake center down at Boston City Hospital, and they ship people out to Long Island at night. Long Island is on the map, but it's not listed on the map. The island itself has an extreme history. It had a detox on it, which was Andrew House Detox. It also had a safe house on it.
Okay. I got you here.
It also has a fort on it and a lighthouse. The island has some unique things about it. I got onto what was called the WEP program, which is Work Experience Program.
Yeah.
Now, with that program, unlike everybody else that would have to get up in the morning, eat breakfast, and then leave the island by bus, the ones that were on the WEP program did not have to leave the island during the day. They slept in the same areas as the other homeless, but they also worked in the shelter, like laundry room, helping to serve dinner, stuff like that. Just small menial jobs. Wasn't that hard. We had other perks that, like we had access to the refrigerator, so we could pull out different tasty snacks and that.
That's what I experienced was.
We were also allowed to walk around on the island itself, and it's not recommended to walk the island at night.
Why is that?
You might end up in the hospital with a fucking musket ball embedded in your chest from a musket rifle that is sitting in a museum.
Okay.
Rifts, as you said before.
I was walking down by the old fort, turned around, I heard the sound of horses, and next thing I know, I see the what's called the gunpowder fire, from what you would see from a musket rifle, and ended up laying on the ground. When I was rushed to the hospital, well, they pulled a musket ball out of my chest. It embedded right in the sternum.
Was it ghost like Union soldiers or?
War of 1812.
Wow.
And they matched the musket ball to the rifle.
Okay.
Because the musket ball does have striations on it, just like a bullet does. And they couldn't explain why there were two musket balls sitting in the museum that had been fired. Both of them had blood on them, and the blood matched me. And one musket ball had been sitting in the museum for a long time.
Interesting.
I never went out walking the island at night ever again.
So they're getting ready to open. They're going to reopen Long Island in a few years once they fix that bridge.
Yeah,
up.
once they fix the bridge, we're talking about putting a helipad down on the island where one of the old docks was.
Okay.
They were talking about that before they even closed the island, when the bridge partially collapsed. Now, Boston's shelter system, I never went to Pine Street, but Pine Street I heard a lot of bad things about.
They say it's nicer nowadays.
Well, back in '89 it wasn't. There was a gang that was running through Pine Street. They called themselves the Haitian Seven. They were ran by a person by the name of Big Al. And he would prey on homeless people.
What was he doing to them?
He'd rob them. Basically. He'd walk up to them, have his boys surround them, then he'd go through their pockets. That was until one homeless person stood up and broke his jaw. Because they picked on the wrong target.
Okay.
After that, he disappeared. From what I heard, he was deported back to Haiti. let's see, there was Pine Street. Then there was San Francis House. San Francis House is a day shelter, but it's also now a night shelter. They revamped it so that they could house homeless people at night, which is pretty good. Because San Francis House, they did a lot of services, ranging from legal services, helping people get SSI, get SSDI, even help them to get welfare, and even housing vouchers.
Yeah, I've been through there. I spent a lot of time there while I was in Boston.
San Francis House is an awesome place. Dukakis did try to, when Dukakis was in office.
If this guy farts over here, I'm in deep trouble.
Well, Dukakis, when he was in office, he tried to cut funding, and he got embarrassed.
Yeah, St. Francis House is important. So, out here in the woods, right? Like you say, there's a lot of stuff. Like, what have you seen? Have you seen the ghosts out here?
Oh yeah.
These woods here have a very long history. Originally, there were 3 Native American villages here. They were Nipmuc, Narragansett, and they were burnt to the ground. All 3 villages. But after that, you had slave quarters up here, and they had slave pens up here, where slaves were stored, bought, and sold. A lot of slaves actually did die up here. Then you had the mental hospital, asylum. They had actually an asylum. The only 2 things that are left from it is one circle round building, which is down at the bottom of the mountain, and the clock tower itself. The clock tower was the front door.
Okay.
Half of the asylum caved in because it came all the way up into this mountain.
Okay.
Back in the 70s, there was only a small portion of the asylum left. There was minimal security, and one of the things that pretty much got it closed down was an incident that happened in the 70s where 7 patients who belonged in a maximum security facility were put here, and they escaped.
So it has. Jess, I'm sorry for saying guy. I do that all. I apologize.
Yeah.
There were many rapes in that asylum of nurses. There were a couple of murders, including one nurse that was thrown from the top of the clock tower.
And so, what have you seen out here as far as?
Well, you'll see orbs out here. There's one female. She's been nicknamed the Maiden.
What is she like? She walks? Does she glow or anything?
You'll feel her more than you'll see her. Every now and then you will see her. She wears a white dress, blonde hair. I'd say her age is about between 27 and 32. You'll hear kids laughing. You'll see slaves that were here.
The Guardian.
The Guardian. Well, he's a horse of another color.
What's a Guardian?
He shows up looking sometimes like a tree, walking with a staff.
Okay.
And he walks these woods. He's never in the same place twice. But you'll feel his presence most of the time. A couple of times he'll show himself, and he just seems to guard the place. If he feels something's wrong, he'll pop up.
Okay.
He'll throw you out.
Sometimes you'll hear singing, African style singing, down in one section of the woods.
You may hear tribal drums up here.
Drums
and some
as well?
people have heard tribal drums because there were 3 Native American villages here.
Hang on now.
Sometimes people have heard what happened when the 3 villages were destroyed by
I've seen it.
soldiers.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, I like
Sorry, I gotta get my leg comfortable here.
The woods themselves they're pretty nice. You have a lot of different wildlife here as well, which includes woodpeckers, hoot owls, fisher hawks, crows.
pigeons.
We got one fisher cat who's pretty huge.
We have something random that falls on our head at random times.
50. We have deer that run through. We have a 50-pound raccoon. We have several species of skunk.
Cougar.
We have 4 wolves that are up here. And we do have 1 cougar that has been seen here. That cougar just showed up not even a week and a half ago.
Don't forget about the coyotes.
Coyotes, well, they stay on the other side of the road. So you can hear them at night at times.
Well, it's a beautiful camp out here, and I really appreciate you letting me camp with y'all.
Oh, that's okay.
I've been really hospitable. You all have been really hospitable to me.
Well, you see, out here, being on the streets, we only have each other out here because this city doesn't give a damn. This city has pulled so much bullshit. It's not even funny.
I finished it when they were doing the wellness check. Oh.
They've covered up so much shit that's not even funny. Now, there are homeless people who have died out here because of it, ranging from ones who have had sclerosis of the liver and had the liver explode, hypothermia. Yes, there have been overdoses as well. With all the tent stealings and tent slashings and that, we have a hard enough time as it is without having all that added to it. But bottom line is, out here, the homeless, who they have really is each other. So when a person asks for help, there are a lot of us homeless that will give it.
Well, I appreciate it, and like that shit's got to stop. They got to stop, hurting people that already, are just trying to survive.
Like me, I'm banned from shelters and there's nowhere for me to go, so I come out here. And she wouldn't go to Queen Street because she would have the same problem as I do.
No,
I was banned from Queen Street. Yeah.
Now, I myself am one of 2 active street elders.
There's 2.
One is the other active elder is a female, and she's a hot ticket. But if you ever needed somebody in your corner, she's the one to go to.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
And then there's me. I've been out here for 4 years, and I know the ropes out here pretty well.
What is your home, basically?
I've been living here in Worcester since '92, so I know Worcester very well, pretty much. And
Longer than me.
when I see, especially newbies that have come on scene, that don't know where resources are, where food is, where there could be a safe place for them to even sleep. Well, if they come to me and ask for help, I'll give them help.
Damn right.
Because I know what I went through when I first came out here, and I was alone and had no help.
I slept on a park bench for a couple nights in the Commons.
Well,
I chose to be homeless because my wife couldn't stay in the same apartment as me because the landlord wouldn't let her on the lease. So I said, "Fuck it," and left. Yeah. Well, he talks about what the homeless issues really are. They're not just a joke out here. People do die.
Now, a lot of people who aren't homeless think, oh, the only people who are homeless are people that are drug addicts, alcoholics, ex-convicts, mentally ill. And unfortunately, yes, there is a lot of homeless who are mentally ill who are out here because they've fallen through the cracks and the services have been inadequate. And unfortunately, the programs that are out here they only cater to those 4 categories, and there's over 5% that are like me, who don't fall under those categories, and there is no programs to help them, and they have to basically go through it alone. Now, when I came out here, I had nobody to help me, nobody to show me around, nobody to show me where places like St. John's was, or even the mustard seed. Now,
for a while.
I knew about Saturdays with Net of Compassions, but as far as the other resources, I did not know any of them.
Well, that's good that you help me and you help each other, and I've been writing out a resource list, so I really appreciate you.
And the resource lists that the powers the so-called B give you are outdated.
Yeah.
90% of the resources that are listed on them don't even exist anymore. Ranging from clothing. Can you hold this for this way for a sec? As far as like clothing, medical services,
Tell them about the mayor too.
just everything as far as ranging what a homeless person might need for services. And it's not an easy situation to get out of.
Yeah.
It's more difficult up here than it is down to wherever it was in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin.
Now, that's why when I see newbies out here and they don't know what to do, I will offer them assistance and say, okay, Xavier Center on Temple Street, breakfast 6:30 to 9:30. Mustard seed 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and you get a hot meal there. You can also get blankets, sometimes even pillows, personal hygiene products, hats, gloves, whatever, and clothing. Net of Compassions, before they shut one section down on Thursdays, they were giving away. They had a place where you could go get clothing.
They still do, actually. I found out. I talked to Pastor Richie recently. They reopened it, by the way, as of recently.
Oh, nice.
Somebody else took over it, by the way.
And then you have let's see, mustard seed, St. John's. You have All Saints, which they have during a certain time of the year. Thursday Cafe, which you can get a hot meal, and on Sundays you can get a bagged lunch. Right at the YMCA, there's another Christian group that does meals on Sundays as well. Usually it's a hot meal, which is pretty nice. And they also do clothing as well. Now, there's a lot of people that are homeless when they come out here.
I love it.
At first, they don't know any of these resources. So what I do as a street elder is I show them where the resources are. When they ask me about, okay, what type of tent I should get, I tell them basically what type of tent you should get. And I also tell them, when you go to stake it down, do not use plastic pegs. Always use metal pegs, because you need to ground the tent. Because if the tent gets hit by lightning and it's not grounded, it's going
to go right through.
You're going to be a crispy critter.
Yeah. Almost what happened to my wife the first night she was out here. I was up in Newton Hill. If it wasn't for this one, he actually saved my life. I was just persistent about getting plastic pigs. Because I got metal, I'm still alive today because of it. While you were swimming upside down in your tent.
I actually smacked the plastic pegs right the fuck out of her hand at Walmart. I literally smacked her hand and I knocked the pegs out. I said, No, you are not buying those. Now get that out of your fucking mind. You are buying those metal ones.
Crispy critter and fried peg. Doesn't sound
Well,
like a good meal.
later that night, she found out why you buy the metal pegs.
Yeah.
When she woke up upside down in a pool of water inside her little coffin tent.
Also, not to mention, he was 10 feet up in a tree from the lightning. And
Because I got hit myself.
I wasn't even out here at that point yet.
Luckily, I'm a what's called a human lightning rod.
Wasn't the tent you had, it had one peg out of 3 on the one side that went 2 feet from the
Yes.
original site.
The peg landed 2 feet
Oh,
from
by
the
the way,
tent.
also the ground was charred under it.
Charred. It was crispy critter.
More like...
And
fried
I had a
earth.
tarp over the tent. It blew off with
It
the
was
first
gone.
wind. It was gone with the first wind.
No,
Ooh.
it was gone because it got
Yeah.
partially burnt.
Yeah.
Well, she's lucky that she had you and you all have
Yeah.
each other.
She
It's
contacted
really...
me when I was living with my roommates, but nobody told me. I got a message from her when I was in the hospital for mental health that she needed a new tent. I said, hey, why don't you come out here for a little bit when I got back home? And she showed up with him.
Yep.
And I said, well, if I can't have my spouse and her other partner stay with me, one is a caregiver, one is my spouse, then fuck it, I'm going to leave and I'm going to stay on the street with them. And now I am partnered with him and him. Or her.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you all have each other to care for each other and take care of each other.
Yeah.
You know, I've been out here for a little while, and you know, it does get lonely. It does, like, I'm
it
sleep by
does. It
myself.
does.
You know.
Yeah.
It can get lonely out here. At nighttime, that's when it will hit you the hardest.
It hit like a shit ton of bricks.
I know for myself, when I first became homeless, the nighttime was the hardest for me because I had just lost my wife to cancer after 13 years of marriage. And for me, the nighttime
Sorry, I don't like
was the hardest for me to deal with because a lot of things would play in my head, just little things that I miss.
Fucking tired up.
Because when you lose a spouse, when it comes down to it, the things that are running in your head is all the little things.
Oh,
And they maybe seem insignificant, but boy, you miss them when they're gone.
Yeah.
Just a simple smile, just a simple, oh, how was your day? Her getting you a cup of ice and some soda. Just all the little things in. For the
being
first
out
couple of
here-
months, it was a dark time for me because one, I was alone, didn't have anybody to even really talk to. I didn't know about the resources, and I pretty much stayed at my tent most of the time. I'd come out and do errands at times. I'd come down to the library, charge my phone at times, and then I'd met a person. I was going to be their live-in caregiver, but unfortunately they died. And that death actually hit me pretty hard because I was the last one to actually have a conversation with her, and that was at 12:30 in the morning when she woke up and said, oh, she was hungry. I cooked her something to eat, sat and ate with her. We talked a little bit. She went to sleep, and the next day she never woke up.
Oh.
And then after the paramedics left, I had to watch a body for 11 hours until somebody could come and get the body. So that really
sucks.
can play on you.
Well,
And a lot of the agencies like Betterment for Life, and the mayor's office, and CXX workers, I think I said that right. A lot of the different agencies out here,
They don't
they
help
try
you.
to pretend like it's criminal to be out here, but there's no crime in being homeless. We actually have statutes. And there's another thing
They don't
about
help.
being out here that's dehumanizing. They seize your tent, they steal your shit, they slash your tent. They, what else do they do, Bob?
Well, tent slashings, destruction of property. They try to kick you out of everywhere you're at.
I've dealt with
They have caused the death of several homeless people due to hypothermia because they stole their tents
Or slash them.
during the winter.
That's just plain cruel.
Yeah, there's no law about
It almost killed me.
Put workers out to do it because that's just his orders, even though there's laws against it, like the Housing Not Handcuffs campaign. I don't know if you've heard about that. And then there's the statutes that they can't kick you out of places there's no trespassing signs. If there isn't a no trespassing sign and they try to criminalize you, it's like, if you don't know about things like statutes, you're pretty much going to go downtown for no reason.
Oh, even if you mention
whatever.
the statute, you'll go downtown.
Yeah. They'll try to fuck with you any way they can.
Well, let's try to protect our homeless. Like, that's important. Like, that's a big part of what I'm doing.
That's why if you go to another homeless person's tent, don't out their location.
Yep.
Nope.
If it gets out,
Yeah.
police hear about it, they seize the tent.
Oh.
If it gets to the wrong person, the person doesn't like the person can die.
Okay.
This chicken's been stolen.
I know for myself, 2 winters ago, I almost died because of what Department of Public Works did. They stole my tent. They left me exposed for 3 days and 3 nights in hypothermic weather. Ended up with severe pneumonia. Was forced to go to a shelter because I had no choice. Because I was not going to survive another night out in the cold. I actually had, for 3 nights, I was holed up in a fucking porta potty just to stay fucking warm. A couple of weeks later at the shelter, I collapsed where I could not get up. I was rushed to the emergency room. When they did x-rays on my lungs and that, they found out it was severe pneumonia, but what I did not know was I had pulmonary embolisms in the lung, and they said 2 went off in my heart.
That's terrible.
How the fuck do you survive that?
And
It's
that
like 1 in 1,000.
was caused by Department of Public Works stealing my tent, my sleeping bag, and my blankets.
Hey Bob, why don't you explain the chances of? Was
It's
it 1 in 1,000
it's
or 1 in a
slim.
million?
It's very
times 1?
slim. If just
And
one
it's
goes
1
off in your heart.
1,000th of that.
So you're a survivor. And,
Yes.
You know,
It's
let's.
very rare.
And like that's my thing. Like, I want to advocate for more humane treatment of people that are unhoused, and these things that you say are awful. And
I know a person that died from alcoholic seizure because nobody treated her, and she died on the streets in
I
Boston.
can get it real.
yeah,
I know of 20 here in Worcester who died from alcoholic seizure because there was a waiting list for the detox.
yeah. Well, that shouldn't be. Well, I'm gonna say, because my arm's super sore, but thank you so much for sharing this. And there's love here, and like, that's important. And nobody should ever interfere with that. So I just wanted to tell you all that, how important you are and beautiful you are, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.